Alright.
It's showing complexity.
Dun dun dun. Alright, well, we see it's Zoo deck, or mid-range at the very least, at the bottom, versus a handlock, I'd venture to say. I mean, I don't see... Although Molten does make its appearance in, you know, mid-range Demon Lock, or Demon Handlock.
That's true. So, Thijs will probably keep only the Neck and Knife Juggler, right? Turn 1 Knife Juggler, turn 2 Neck. Oh, he skipped the Neck. Okay. Oh, there's a Void Color in it. Nice. I really love the Void Colors.
Yeah, they're great. Oh, wow, there's a Kazan Mystic in Strifecro's deck.
Those 2 Molten Giants will be super important.
Against the Zoo deck, definitely. I think they're actually the most important. As soon as you can get them taunted up, Hellfire and Double Molten is just super strong. What's the next best thing he finds here? A Watcher to set up for a possible Shadow Flame later?
Well, this is not bad. Oh,
wow.
That's a Defender. Okay.
That's Defender.
This might be hard for Thijs.
Well, he's got a pretty good hand, though. I just, like, the Void Caller needs to come in and do a lot of work for him.
First Loot Holder. Then turn 3 Void Caller into Direwolf. That's so weak to Hellfire, so I wouldn't even play that. Most likely would be just tap into a creature.
Yeah, tap into Voidwalker I think is pretty good. And the Sun Fury has been found for Strifecro, making enabling those giants even easier. I think that's a really big draw for him.
Now it all depends how Thijs will deal damage.
Yeah, if he's gonna pace himself, right? A lot of players know better than to just go full face unless they have to. And they often pace themselves to where you can't really play the Moltens as you'd like.
I'm not sure why he's playing that. Like, he has Hellfire, right, on 10-4.
I think maybe popping the spider is what he's looking for. I'm not too sure. It's got me a bit puzzled. But then again, this is a very common trend, right? Not a common, trend, but a common play. A lot of people play Sun Fury as a 2-drop against aggro decks just to be able to, stem some of the early game bleeding. It basically acts as a pseudo Dark Bomb very often.
Now, Thijs is kinda thinking about maybe Abusive Surgeon tap. Then you buff the spider. Go with the spider? I don't know.
You can get the spider to pop and the jugglers to do what it has to. The thing is, you're playing a bit into Hellfire by doing this.
I would favor the tap here.
Instead of playing the...
To get deeper into the deck and still have this, you basically do the same with Abusive Sergeant and Wolf Rider, right? Wow.
Oh wow, he extends even further on this board. I have to say, I'm honestly surprised here.
Yeah.
I think what happened is Strifecro seemed to telegraph I have no removal by playing Sun Fury.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe that's what he saw, and then he decided to overextend, thinking maybe my opponent just doesn't have an answer. But he's gonna get punished because those Molten Giants are about to hit the board.
Kazan Mystic Zombie Chow?
It's that or Molten Zombie Chow. I don't even hate Molten Zombie Chow. Is there a reason not to play it? Do you really need it to keep it later?
No. You can just play Molten Giant and Zombie Chow, true.
Alright, so he taps into a probable cheaper Molten, so 5, he can't find 7 from hand, so there's no lethal looming, even if everything lines up. Unless he's got, double PO, in which case you just bow down. If he had double Power Overwhelming, you just have to take the loss. Abusive and Implosion is likely to kill the Molten. Very likely to kill
you saw one Molten, so what about just going face? You play...
What about the taunt that hits? Do you just get punished too hard for that?
Not sure. This is a really tough situation for Thijs.
Yeah, it really is, honestly. Like, this is probably the closest... This is probably the most difficult turn he's going to have this game, to be honest. Like, this is where everything either goes really well for you or really wrong. And I don't dislike the idea of trading everything away. Like, you try for the implosion, see how much it hits for. If it's 3, then you abusive sergeant your void caller and get the other void caller out. I think that's gonna have to be his play. It's either that or he's gonna try to get imp straight up.
3 M's, so perfect. Perfect resolution here, but still, that doesn't seem to be going Thijs' way anyway.
Yeah, not from
and 11 points of heal.
So Molten Giant, Defensive Argus,
go
perhaps, face, and just go face for 8 and let the Zulok handle this.
Yeah, I would say so. You can take care of 1 giant, I would say. No, you can kill 1.
The silence on the Void Caller is going to force Thijs to play the Void Caller manually here. Very nice.
That's
play
not bad.
Here.
You can sacrifice the imps first.
I don't think it does that much, though, to be honest. It's stalling for the inevitable, but he might just be dead next turn. Or very very close to that. With the anti-heal bot and the Ordering Farce here, I don't think Strifecro's at any risk of dying. He's got 18 effective health with those giants, and another possible 11 with the heal bot and the Ordering. If you disregard the fact that his opponent might even have to trade into the heal bot for another 3.
Wow, this sucks so bad.
To say the least, yeah, I think Thijs' position is pretty much
There's no way you can win. Yeah. No way.
Well, a lot of waiting, and we got a really fast Zoo versus Handlock game. That was much faster than I expected. But I think the game somewhat played itself out. Like I think Thijs really got baited by that Sun Fury early on. I'd have to ask him what he thought his opponent had. I'm really curious.
That was really risky. Well, let's be honest. He
would have had a really tough time either way. Yeah. It would have been difficult no matter what. It's not like he made a bad play, right? It's just that Strifecro happened to have the exact answers he needed to just punish his opponent left and right. Because if he gets a big Twilight Drake with a taunt, that's problematic. The moment he gets Sludge Belchers down, that's also annoying, especially when you've seen a Hellfire. Now you're running out of steam, and you really need to hope to top deck back-to-back answers to your Handlock opponent, which, you know, Thijs might have not even had in this deck.
That's true. Well, at least Strifecro locked his Handlock, which is important, I think, in this situation, right? Thijs
it really is, yeah.
Well, maybe not.
There's Rogue and Mage, though. Yeah. How big of a...
The Mage is a... If that's a Freeze Mage, then the matchup between Freeze Mage and Handlock is heavily favoring Mage, but the Rogue is really a tough call. So maybe it doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, so we'll have to see exactly what the next decks are. So Strifecro has his Warlock out. He's got Hunter and Druid left, which is a big deal. We mentioned the Druid's possible, tough matchups coming up with the lineup that Thijs has with Rogue, Mage, and Warlock versus Druid. You're generally in a pretty good position.
I would say that if Strifecro will bring Hunter now, he'll probably win because he has many favorite matchups. But
third match is going to be difficult.
Yeah, the third, fourth, and fifth match will be difficult. That's what I predict.
Yeah, so Strifecro does bring out the Hunter. He does bring out the Hunter, and Thijs is going to be going for his Mage versus Strifecro's Hunter. We'll see exactly how that goes. If it's Freeze Mage, it's not that bad of a matchup for the Freeze Mage. If you find the Ice Bearers early, that turnaround, since Flare got removed from the game effectively by getting nerfed to 2 mana, we just don't see it. So unless Strifecro is playing his on Mystic, then I think this is generally a Mage. This is a slightly Mage-favored fight, but it's not guaranteed by any means.
If it's a Freeze Mage and you want to get those Mad Scientists in your opening hand, so you can drop them, trade for a minion, so you basically heal yourself, and then count on Ice Barriers first.
Yeah. Those are the most important. Ice Barriers are the most important, I think, to be honest. Like, Ice Block is nice, but you just only need the one to stay there for the longest time. You can get the second one much later, but you need that 16 health mitigation from the Ice Barriers a lot. If this is, in fact, Freeze Mage, obviously, but if it is, and he does get the Ice Bearers early, then this could turn into a win for Thijs, which is going to force Strifecro to go up with his Hunter against Rogue and Warlock.
Which is not bad at all.
Now, against the Rogue is generally a really good matchup. Warlock can depend. We saw earlier a horrendous come out with Gara and with his Hunter deck versus Zoo. If that happens again, it's going to be really painful. But generally speaking, I'd say Hunter is not that bad off if they get a decent start.
No, they're not. But what paid off for Fraser there is the fact that he had 2 defensive Argus. That was the sole reason he basically was winning that game. Because he was putting a lot of damage, but he was just, mitigating any kind of attack from the Hunter. It's a mech mage. Oh.
Well, hello there.
I wasn't anticipating that.
Me neither.
Like at all. So you keep the Noatron, you keep the Snow Chugger, and you mulligan away the Goblin Blast Mage. Probably.
Yeah, I don't think you want to keep the... Well, I mean, how likely are you to get... I mean, how bad is it of a card, though, in this matchup? Like, the Innovation and Snow Chugger are amazing. Like, I'll give you that much. Those 2 cards here are stellar. The thing is, he's probably going to be looking for another 2-drop. I mean, how, like, if you get Tinkertown, how good is it? It's pretty bad, right? Like, what are the alternatives that you want instead of Blast Mage? Clockwork Gnome, probably. That's a given. Mech Warper would be semi-decent, but probably not. I wonder what he's going to be hoping for. Clockwork is probably the best one.
Probably. Oh, double Snow Juggler is not bad at all. And you have the answer for Knife Juggler. So that's
the Frostbolt is a great draw here against the Juggler openers.
I would say there's a Mad Scientist turn. Then you can trade with Snow Chuggers. Or Mech Warpers.
The great thing about Glaive Zuka with Mad Scientist is that it allows you to kill off, an Ogatron, Snow Chugger, Mech Warper, just about anything your opponent plays. So generally speaking, yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think this is a great Mad Scientist play. But there is an Abusive, so you could play the Creeper.
But
like, you still killed 2/3s. I guess Mad Scientist is just too good to pass.
You want to increase the chances of drawing something other than Explosive Trap.
Yep. I wonder if he plays any traps besides that one. Well, Strifecro is going to be getting a free Snow Chugger to feast on. Actually, do you play Lepernome with Abusive or Glaive Zuka?
I would favor the Glaive Zuka.
Because you don't get board presence after that, right? Because you sacrifice your only board presence by throwing the Glaive Zuka in.
So what about Haunted Creeper and just go face?
So he's not considering, or at least he doesn't want to do the Abusive Lepernome, at least as much as I feel like it might be good. I'll have to see. I think it's funny that this is actually ending up as a complex decision to make. Like, I actually have a hard time believing it, but it sort of is. Alright, well, in the end, he does go for that, so the Mad Scientist is going to show that Snow Chugger. He'll show them all. All the Snow Chuggers.
And Thijs has the Mirror Entity, which is awful. That's a draw. Every single time.
Yeah, you just want to get Mad Scientist. Is the only weakness of it. I think for a while, was it Thijs that just phased them out of his deck, or was it RDU? I remember one of the 2 players cut out one of those 2 cards from their Mech Mage entirely, if I remember.
I think it was RDU, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the type of call that I fully expect RDU to do. Strifecro does pick up a second Mad Scientist though at the beginning of this turn, which means he's gonna be able to get himself that second trap.
Well, I don't think there is a second. Well, maybe he plays Snake Trap and then he can get the second trap. But if he plays just only 2 Explosive Trap, then it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't matter for now. But I mean, it is something that he's gonna be able to get down the line if the first one does get triggered.
This is awful. Well, you play Snow Chugger and Pink.
That's pretty good, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but you're still not in a great spot. Well, turn 5, Strike will probably just go with Knife Juggler, Mad Scientist, hoped for the ping for Chugger.
Are things improving though for Thijs, curving into the mid game? Maybe if he finds a really good. I mean, that Lothar is great. Don't get me wrong, but she's not addressing everything. Interesting. Aha. Now the question we have to ask.
I didn't anticipate that at all. Can we see the trap? Is it an explosive trap?
It is explosive trap. We just have to assume that he plays Snake now, or is trying to bluff his opponent into playing into Snake at least.
Yeah.
Or he's forcing the opponent to attack face and then trigger the trap, leaving a Mad Scientist alive.
Now Thijs is kind of baffled here.
No, like the problem is it's an amazing bluff because whatever you do, you risk getting punished either way. Well, there are two traps, so there's gonna be a Snake trap, probably. I think you have to play assuming that's the case, right? It is Snake. Alright, we received word from the admins that they in fact have spotted the Snake trap. Wow, what a terrible position here. You can't deal with the minions because snakes come out. You don't have the blast mage to get rid of them. Even if you did, it's not guaranteed. Thijs is in a bit of a pickle here.
He is, but it's still winnable. Like, it's 10-5, you have 25 health. Well, okay, 10-4 basically because Strife didn't do yet anything. In 10-5, I would say weapon, face, hero power, hunted creeper, face.
I think that's the right play, because you have two traps to trigger in the near future. If you play the juggler though, I think it's not even that bad because of Snake Trap, and you're forcing a Frostbolt, which means he plays less minions. I don't even dislike the idea of the Knife Juggler, because of Snake and the Hunted Creeper being able to pop. But you have to put your opponent on the range of having a Frostbolt since he's been playing so slowly. Alright, Strifecro hero powers down, and that'll be it for the turn. So Thijs knows there's a Snake Trap. He's just gonna have to go full face from now on, I believe.
Yep. But the Anoatron can change a lot.
Yeah, Cogmaster and Anoatron and Meritty together could do a lot of work.
It doesn't play around Animal Companion, so that's unfortunate. But the low tap is more important than the Cogmaster or Mirror Entity. He might be thinking about using Frostbolt face now.
Yeah, because there's 3 attack on that weapon, that's a guaranteed way to kill Lotheb if anything. But because of the Anoatron that's likely to come out, I don't think we'll see that. So at least the Hounds would be so sick though, for Strifecro. Like on top of everything else, just be an extra little bit of value. And the Animal Companion, if it gets Leok when Snake's been popped.
Wow.
So many things are good here.
I still think he will go for the mana efficient play. Yeah. Good for him that he keeps the Frostbolt for a crucial turn, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna come in handy a bit later, perhaps either for like a huge burst of damage to the opponent, or to just remove a minion. It's just, that's clogging Strifecro's hand.
Yeah,
what a terrible card to find. Well, Thijs might be able to get that Ragnaros value. I say might. Tentatively, he might, because Ragnaros is very strong against hunters. If only because you don't have to play into anything, and it's just free damage going face over the board.
Mirror Entity.
Okay.
This is value now for Thijs.
Yeah.
And Leok will deal with the Anoatron. That's important.
We would have dealt with it anyway, right? With the weapon plus, you attack with the creeper, then...
Yeah, right, what I'm talking about now.
Then weapon. Wouldn't have changed anything. Now he finds a Mad Scientist for that second Mirror Entity. We'll have to see, though, what Thijs decides to make of his play here.
The Cogmaster is useless.
You have to Frostbolt the Juggler, right?
I would say so.
Can you actually afford just punching face? Like, really hard?
5, 6, 9, 12. And that's pretty risky. I would say you still Frostbolt the Knife Juggler.
Yeah, if Frostbolt the Juggler, then you just like drop Mad Scientist, go full face, and see what happens.
If you hit the Haunted Creeper of the Mad Scientist, that really blows.
It's pretty bad, but I mean it's a 1 in 3. I think it's a chance you have to take.
Oh, that's
you can
so
always
bad.
ping one of the spiders, right? If it happens, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Yeah,
that's really not that big of a deal. Well, I suspect Thijs will be going on the offensive here for the rest of the game, and Strifecro is going to be playing defensively from now on. He needs to find Unleash the Hounds, or at least he wants to. That much I can tell you.
He has to kill the Lotep and the Knife Juggler. Those two are really important.
Yep. Oh, there's a possible close lethal on either side in the next 2 turns for sure.
Kill command, well that will help. Will it?
It will, I mean it'll kill a Lotheb.
Yeah, it will kill the Lotep, then you use the Haunted Creeper for Knife Juggler.
Yeah.
You kill the Cogmaster with the weapon, and you leave the Mad Scientist.
You could kill the Mad Scientist with Leok if you want.
Oh yeah, okay.
You don't have to.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. But this makes sense, then Ragnaros has really little value.
Well, Strifecro is thinking this through. Yeah, we'll have to see. I really think, though, that kill command on Lotheb is the most likely, if not the only play that he can make. I mean, Glaive Zuka... Actually, wait, what if you attack him like the Cogmaster, then you Glaive Zuka to override your bow, buffs up the Creeper, and then you smash that into Lotheb instead? That lets you keep the kill command? No, I don't think that's something he'll want to do. Actually, I think like using Glaive Zuka as a buff card isn't even bad. I think that he might just do that. Is he thinking about it? Probably not. Never mind. Change of plans. All right. Well,
so he
values
he values the 1 HP on Leok more than 1 HP on his face. Wait, is he? No, he didn't kill the Mad Scientist at all.
Yeah, he just went face with the bow.
This is
3 plus.
So you can. Do you wait? If you play Fireball to the face and pink face.
Oh man, Thijs is gonna. I think Thijs, if he hits a minion here. Oh! Wow! Wait.
Okay.
That is it! Oh my goodness! The only thing that Rag couldn't hit was the face.
Oh wow.
He just couldn't afford it.
Oh wow.
What a crushing blow.
I was thinking just about fireballing face and pinging one of the creatures to be the safest bet.
And that is gonna be game here. Strifecro's gonna be up 2-0 versus Thijs. As you said, this Hunter had a pretty good chance against the lineup that Thijs brought, but then again, Strifecro is still down to his last deck, the Druid deck, against the entire lineup from Thijs. Rogue, Mage, and Warlock, decks that we know are typically okay against Druid, so we'll have to see exactly how those games pan out. But there's a possible reverse sweep on the horizon, but with a 2-0 lead, all it takes is a bit of luck on Strifecro's side, right? Like, variance can give you a win out of 3 games.
He needs those innovates for those necks and for those Druid of the Flames. Well, I'm not sure if he is playing that.
Yeah, well, it's possible. A lot of people have been. And we saw Strifecro bring Goblin Sapper in Mill Rogue recently. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's willing to experiment with Druid a bit more and maybe put in Druid of the Flame. But we'll see exactly how that goes. It'll be Thijs' Mage versus Strifecro's Druid. Thijs obviously playing Mech Mage, as we just saw.
So it's a very good matchup for Thijs here.
Yep.
But still,
Druid can take games off of anyone.
Of course.
Give me those innervates.
Especially if there will be a mind control tech, which can turn the game around against the Mech Mage.
Yeah, it's a pretty common tech as well. Strifecro has played it quite a bit. So has Thijs, actually. Thijs has played quite a bit of mind control techs in his Druid as an answer to the aggressive metagame. And perhaps that's actually much better than Druid of the Flame by default. Now that I think of it, we talked about that, right? The aggro counter value of Druid of the Flame. Druid of the Flame might be better against Face Hunter, but worse against Mech Mage, for instance.
Well, it's better when you innovate it on turn 1.
Exactly. Whereas MC Tech is kind of just a 3/3 body.
So it's exactly like Shadow Next Rama's innovate on turn 1, and then it just doesn't grow. That's it.
Well, we'll see how that goes. Druid versus Mech Mage.
There is an innovate.
But there is an amazing hand for Strifecro.
And for Thijs too.
And for Thijs. Both players have a sick hand here. It might come down to who gets the better follow-ups.
Look, wow. Turn 1 Cogmaster into turn 2 Mech Warper and Neutron. Wow.
Hello, hello, hello. And the turn 3
great.
Tinkertown on the back end is just, a little bit of a bonus to curve perfectly. This could be a blowout, but
really great opening hand for Thijs. And he even favors the coin hand.
yeah, it's a great one. I mean, having Mech Warper with the coin makes your matchups, your early game, so much more consistent as a Mech Mage. Like, the Mech Warper is basically only useful without the coin on turn 3-4 most of the time. But in this case, when you have the coin, you can actually compound the advantage of tempo that it can give you by, doing it that much earlier.
Wild Grove. Well, this is...
Actually, the Wrath and Wild
The
Growth
Wrath is really important.
Yeah, I think the Wrath is what Strifecro really wants. Alright, Thijs sees the Shade.
Second Cogmaster.
That's interesting.
I think you can't play that.
No, not with the Mech Warper and the coin in hand. I think that's a bit of an overextension to coin it out this early.
The problem is if you play Cogmaster, it's just trading for the next.
You give it a shot, right? Because you might unsteal the Shade right now, and then that
you
gives
will,
you...
but you have no Frostbolt, so why would you do this?
Well, you're playing an Electron next turn, right?
But that doesn't help any... that doesn't help.
Well, you can ping and trade with the Electron over the next 2 turns. Usually you should be able to do it.
That's just such a huge tempo loss you can't afford.
So you just don't play anything?
Well, it's better to play it than not play it. You have 2 of the Cogmasters.
I mean, you could play 2 Cogmasters into just an Electron turn 2 and then kill the Shade. That's probably a really good line of play, but they're both dying if the Wrath is played. You'll just do your best, I guess. Thijs has to weigh the value of the Cogmasters over that of a really good turn 2 with the Mech Warper. And he just passes.
And Strifecro's like, what?
Is Strifecro... Yeah. Is this Life Coach playing the long game with Mech Mage? Well, Strifecro gets to pick up a free Wild Growth. Definitely something he will be happy about.
Mad Scientist, this is not a bad draw. I would say this is a Mad Scientist turn.
And then you go for a really sick Mech Warper turn sometime in the mid game. Alright, that's not even bad actually, because it prevents the Druid from snowballing out of control on turn 5 by having the Mirror Entity set up. I do like that line of play. Thijs opts for a different line of play, with a Cogmaster and Oigatron play.
Do you like this? I'm not sure if I like this.
I mean, it plays into Keeper really heavily, but I don't know what he's hoping to get in the end.
Into a Wrath too.
It plays into everything. I'm trying to figure out why, but we'll see. He may have a master plan that has yet to be revealed.
You deny yourself the Mech Warper value also. Like
Yeah.
there's no Mech Warper value at all now in your hand. I don't like this at all.
Yeah, as I said, I'm trying to figure out what he's trying to achieve. I can't really defend the play. I don't think it's accomplishing very much. But we'll see. Maybe this ends up transitioning better. Do you even unstealth the Shade? I guess you don't really need to unless Tinkertown comes up. Okay, I guess you do unstealth her, but then you open the Frostbolt and you get a good turn 5,
I think you can
so you're
skip
okay with it.
I think you can skip it.
If you kill it though, your turn 5 is guaranteed, so is it really that big of a drawback? Like, if the mage has to Frostbolt turn 3, you get a free ticket to turn 5 with Lothar or Sure Drake.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I will then the unstealthing it is better. Yeah, I didn't like that 10-2 play at all from Thijs.
Thijs' early game was stifled very heavily by that Innervate Shade.
Like, he opted not to do anything on turn 1. Which basically was saying, okay, I have to keep the coin for Mech Warper and do some sick things. And now, the Tinkertown Technician is also really bad. The Shade can just trade for it. Or just go face for 5. I would just go face. You play
Would you?
Yeah, I think you play Drake and go face.
I mean, there's no Blast Mage coming out. The Shade would die to a ping either way. Yeah, I think going face, you're right, it's a pretty decent line of play. Question is, what are you afraid of if you do go face? Frostbolt, ping, but that's irrelevant because you just substitute a 5/4 for the 4/4 Drake.
Yeah, that's not important at all.
Although the Shade doesn't, like the Drake doesn't grow, which is the probably biggest factor here. So if there's a Frostbolt ping to kill the Shade,
I would
then
still
you
go
end up getting
face.
punished by Frostbolt.
So Mech Warper, Snow Chugger, Cogmaster, or just
Well, you
Snow
can't kill
Chugger,
anything if you do that, right?
Scientist?
You can't kill
Oh yeah,
anything.
right. Yeah.
That's the problem you're stuck in Thijs'
Then Mech
position is he
Scientist
didn't
and
get
ping.
that tempo.
Yeah, that's it. Wow, this 10-2 is just biting him so much.
Mirror Entity might be a saving grace, but we'll have to see. For now, it's not looking super good. Alright, so Lotheb or Shade Hero Power. Lotheb before Mirror Entity is probably better than waiting too long. And she's protected against Frostbolt anyway. I mean, he's protected rather. Lotheb is a male. I keep forgetting. I don't know why I always keep saying she. It doesn't look like a girl to anyone, does it? Like, it doesn't even look like a girl to me. I guess it's just because card is a female noun in French, so I end up saying she all the time. Like, Mad Scientist, it's totally a she.
Really?
Yeah, look at those, like, that hair, man. Does you recognize that haircut?
I would say no.
My sisters have had it for the longest time in their childhood.
Are they from The Simpsons?
Yeah, yes they are.
Okay, makes sense now.
Oh man. And Thijs is in such a slow position, and there's Dr. Balance coming up. Like, he has to trade the Mad Scientist, which gives Strifecro the ability to deny the value by dropping Shade followed by Swipe. If the spell damage stays around, which it will, so that will kill a Shade that comes out of the Mirror Entity.
You have to play Lotheb.
Yeah, that's about all you can do, is play Lotheb and trade.
Lotheb, and you have to trade, yeah, that's very true. And I think that might have been a mistake. Nah, never mind. Well, you deny the Dr. Boom now.
Actually, do you just drop Dr. Boom and give your opponent a 7/7 while you punch face because you have a swipe? Like, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna hit him for 9 right now. I'm just trying to figure out.
You're right, that 7/7 doesn't mean
Like,
anything.
it almost doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of sad to say, but
And the shade doesn't fit anywhere too. It's like awful. See, and so the only other thing you can do is play the Drake or Dr. Boom.
I like Shade. If I'm gonna play Drake, I'm playing Shade. But the problem is then I'm opening myself up to a perfect trade. Like, I'm giving the board to the opponent, he can just get it back and get the initiative. Whereas by playing Dr. Boom, I'm maintaining a bigger board than he has. That's like a marginal call, I think.
So now Strifecro will trade both, I would say.
Probably one Drake for the other.
What about
I mean,
Lotheb?
there's no card draw. It slows down the tempo from the mage because he has to ping. What if you just go full face and let the opponent deal with this? He doesn't run Flame Strike, he can't even cast it if he had it. And you're setting lethal up if he doesn't play super defensively, which you know he's not really in a spot where he can do that. Oh, hello, Blast Mage. You would be useful in another universe at another time.
It still can be useful.
Yeah, you just kill Lotheb and I guess you have to
Right.
trade everything you've got away. Though.
Yeah, and go for that blast mage
Chance
and
at
hope
killing.
to kill it. That's the only comeback you can make. That buys tempo.
Yeah, that's a big word to buy tempo in this position, but yes, I think that's the only comeback mechanism he's got. Well, he's got to take it. And he's gonna go for it.
Why not Snowjugger?
And the Blast Mage does not even come
Oh,
close to
wow.
killing that Drake. Not even close.
Well, that was the second best outcome.
So do you just swipe? Oh man, do you just drop Dr. Boom and go face for 4 and set up lethal later?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's got to be the play that he's considering. What else, really? Swipe would kill the Blast Mage. You can then hero power down the 2-1 or use your Shredder as a, means to put even more pressure. But Dr. Boom accomplishes the same amount of pressure, if not more, by threatening, Boombot uncertainty. Alright, well, Thijs has no answer at all.
Yep.
He's dead to Dr. Boom.
It's really sad to see 3-0'd by Strifecro here, but to be honest, I think Thijs really misplayed on that turn too.
I think it started on turn 1 because his line of play was consistent with a specific line of play on turn 2. His turn 1 line of play was consistent with something we saw coming up turn 2, and then he didn't go for that. So I'm starting to question whether or not he had a line of play in mind when he passed turn 1. That's really the
He
thing.
changed his mind
In the middle of the way, yeah. He went
Yeah.
for like a completely different line of play that ended up being way too defensive against a class that you have to take the advantage on before they out-tempo you through innervates or just, a Shade of Nags that grows up. So that's going to be 3-0 for Strifecro, taking the series. We